This week on the Digital Coffee, WhatsApp Premium for Business is coming. Like, what is that? And is Elon Musk about to pull out of that Twitter deal? And Facebook is showing us what sort of content works best. All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to the Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news for small business. My name is Amanda Webb, and if you are joining us for the first time, you'll be wondering, why is she holding a mug? Well, it is the Digital Coffee, so we tend to like to enjoy a beverage together, and I would love to know what is in your coffee mug this morning. Firstly, a big shout out to everyone who's watching on Facebook. I can see Ian's here. Great to see you, Ian. Hello. Fabulous to see you. If you are watching on LinkedIn, do give us a shout out because you're usually a lot quieter over there. And if you're watching on YouTube, say hi as well. I've got lots of news coming up for you today, but before we get started on that, don't forget that at 10:30 a.m, if you want to come and discuss these stories in any further detail, come over to Twitter. You'll see a pinned tweet at the top of my Twitter account for a Twitter space. And that's like a live audio room where you can come in, you can join the conversation, you can come and say hi. And I host that every week with one of my besties, May King Sang. And we both sometimes have different opinions on these stories. If you join on mobile, you can come and have your say as well. And talking of May King, here she is from YouTube, over on YouTube, who's drinking hot water. Hot water. You know, you'd never think she was the tea person, would you? And Ian is drinking rooibos tea. Now, I think rooibos tea is like Marmite, isn't it? It's something people either love or hate. Unfortunately, I've never got the taste for it. Right, have I got all my things that I need? I do? Well, maybe we'll start.
I'm Ant McGinley, and you're watching the Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
There is no doubting that WhatsApp is an extremely popular communications tool, right? I think one of the reasons it took off was its simplicity. And that simplicity is great, but actually it's kind of troublesome for businesses because you're restricted for the things that you can do. But as we know, earlier on this year, WhatsApp rolled out a privacy policy, or was it last year? A privacy policy change, which a lot of people got upset about, but they needed to do this in order to connect WhatsApp fully with the other Meta products. Now that has happened, and we're starting to see new features. And one thing that we know is on its way, but not officially announced yet, is WhatsApp Premium for Business. And this is huge. So it's a subscription service. You will not have to subscribe to it. So if you use WhatsApp for Business, you can still use it without subscribing. So why would you subscribe? What are the benefits going to be? Well, the biggest benefit that's been leaked, and the one that makes total sense to me, is if you subscribe to this, you will be able to use WhatsApp on up to 10 devices, all linked to the same WhatsApp account, which will be a huge relief for a lot of the businesses that are relying on that one mobile phone getting passed from person to person in order to deal with any inquiries. So that alone would be a reason to subscribe. I'm not sure how much it's going to cost yet, but I imagine it won't be wildly expensive. And then the other feature they're talking about doesn't excite me at all. Basically, you'll be able to get your business URL. So like whatsapp.com/spiderworking, for example, would bring you directly to the WhatsApp account for my business, which I don't have, by the way. That's not a way to talk to me. That's not a way to talk to me unless you already know me and we're contacts. But you can already do this on a WhatsApp business account by QR code. So not exciting, not something I think that's worth paying for, but the 10 devices, 100%. And I'm sure they're going to be adding more features before they officially launch it. Now, I can see out the corner of my eye that the comments are hopping. So I'm going to scroll back and have a look and see. I can see we've got Katie. Good morning, Katie. Great to see you here. Thank you for joining me. Let's see who is drinking Earl Grey decaf, which is your favorite. I remember you saying you were out of it before, so glad that you've got it. Ian says he could do without WhatsApp. That's all the way over my face. Let's move that a little bit. But I feel like I'm the only one. No, to be honest, it's not my favourite platform, and I love to just keep it to personal conversations with friends rather than using it for business. And I don't want that always on thing, but I guess for some people that will be the big one. Good morning to Evelyn. Long time no see. Great to see you here. And okay, we're at the end of my hopping comments, so let's move on, will we? Let's talk to Christine first.
Hey, I'm Christine Gritman, and you are watching The Digital Coffee with social media superstar Amanda Webb.
Does Elon Musk have cold feet over this whole Twitter deal thing? You know, there's a lot of Twitter users that are kind of hoping he has. If he pulls out of the deal, before I even tell you the reason behind this, it is going to cost him a lot of money. You know, pulling out of the deal because he's made the deal, he has to pay them millions or billions. I don't know. He still has to pay a lot of money. So why do we think he might have cold feet? Well, firstly, he's got a bit ego mad. Just a little bit. So I don't know. I've only been following him on Twitter since he said he was going to buy it to keep up with the news. But his tweets have been quite bizarre. He started picking fights with people from Twitter, from the Twitter board. The CEO, Parag, who we know only took over from Jack, I think it was the end of last year, started picking fights with him. It's got quite heated. Then he started saying that he doesn't believe Twitter, that only less than 5% of the accounts on Twitter are bot accounts. Now, I don't know whether you'd believe Twitter on that or not too, but it never seemed to be a concern of his before. So all of this is driving down the price of Twitter shares, and I'm guessing he's going to be able to scoop up the company for less. But if his actions are driving down the price of Twitter shares and he's manipulating the market, isn't that illegal activity? So even if the deal does go through, there's still going to be problems for Twitter. I've been reading about this. I don't know much about markets and finance. I'm going to paraphrase what I've read. But firstly, when Elon buys this and he's going to take on massive debt in order to buy Twitter, that debt actually becomes Twitter's debt, not Elon Musk's debt, which is actually means that, that's a no-brainer. Of course he's going to buy it. But what happens then is the interest expense, and I'm guessing what that means is how much it costs in interest to service those loans, is going to be $1 billion a year for Twitter. And at the moment, and that's before any of their other expenses for running the whole platform. And at the moment, their revenue will only barely meet that. So if the company is going to be successful, if those debts aren't called in, they're going to need to very fast make some extra money, which kind of goes, I do believe right at the beginning, Elon was like, this isn't about profit. I want this run properly. I want it to be a free speech network. So it is all totally messy. But you know what? I love the soap opera of watching it all happen. I do kind of hope Twitter stays being a thing, but it's interesting to watch. Okay. Ian's saying it might be a generational thing about WhatsApp. You know, the weird thing about WhatsApp is I think its ease of use meant that a lot of older users were using it. Initially, I found people that were technophobic about everything else were able to use WhatsApp because it was that simple. And then I know that the younger generation have embraced it too. So I'm not sure it's generational. I think it's more us techies who like to be on our computers, less so than WhatsApp. You don't think Elon will pull out of the deal? I think he's just trying to get it cheaper. I think that's what's going on, but I'm not sure is that and again, Ian was saying he was looking forward to the innovation of Elon taking over. Yet, you know, there are pluses and there are downsides. I just worry about the future of Twitter. That's it. I like Twitter. It's one of my favorite networks. And there has been a lot of innovation recently on Twitter, and I like to see that. And I do think there have been issues within the company that held back innovation in the past. So yes, that would be a definite bonus. But some of the other things that he talks about, well, one, that they're not profit making. So taking ads away isn't profit making. He did say he was going to start charging businesses, which is not unlike what we're seeing on WhatsApp right now. I'm not sure how that's going to go down, but he can't just do it for fun now. He's going to need to make money to service those debts if it's going to stay. Random tweets by Elon feels like an escape effort. Random, really, like he's attacking everyone right now. Good morning to Howard Howie. Great to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Oh, the comments are just moving way too fast for me. You can use WhatsApp on the desktop, and I use it on the desktop. You have to have your phone close by, which is really weird. And I use it on the desktop because, as people know, I cannot type on my phone. So I use WhatsApp on the desktop quite a lot if I need to type something decent, because otherwise it comes out as gobbledygook. We're talking about Elon. Did you see the latest article about Elon and the SpaceX flight? No. You see, it's a soap opera. I am actually loving this story. You can't help but compare it to Nokia and the Microsoft takeover. I don't even know about that, Hannah. You're going to have to enlighten me in more detail. But hey, I'm sure we're going to be back with more Elon Musk soap opera news next week. So let's move on.
Hi, I'm Lee from Wellshot, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Cheers.
Facebook issues a report every now and then. They call it the Widely Viewed Content Report. And for them, it is all about transparency. They want people to see that they're not favouring content from one political aspect or another, or that's the idea behind it. But let's not talk about that, because that's not what I find interested in this report. What I find interesting is it will show you the top 20 posts on Facebook for the period that they are talking about. And for us as marketers, this is interesting. If we're going to use Facebook as a marketing tool, if you're still using Facebook as a marketing tool, knowing about the content that does well can really help you sculpt your content strategy. So if you can encompass these things into your marketing strategy and make them, obviously for your audience, not just to get reach, this could be really impactful. So from all the Facebook posts in the world, they put up the top 20, and out of those top 20, 15 of them are short vertical videos. 15 out of 20. And the thing that they all seem to have in common is some sort of emotional hook. So some of them are funny, some of them are pranks. Some of them I didn't understand at all, to be honest. Heartwarming, they want to make you cry, those sort of videos. And they've always done well. I think the big thing here is that they're vertical and they're short. All these videos are doing exceptionally well. So that's 15 out of the 20. And if you watched the show last week, you'll know that actually Facebook is Meta is reforming itself back into pushing video content. So it's been doing well on Instagram now, but people have found that the reach of their video content has plummeted on Facebook, but they're reinvesting in that area. So these short vertical videos are amongst the top posts, and also if you're doing this, the algorithm should favor you in the future too. So what else was there? 2 of the posts were like this. They were questions on those designed backgrounds that you can put them on. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who's read Social Media Examiner's report or was at Social Media Marketing World and saw Michael Stelzner talking about this. These sorts of posts will get epic reach, and because they've got a good question, they're very engaging, you'll also get lots of comments. So that's 2. That leaves us with 3 posts. The last 3 posts are image posts, 2 of which were brain teasers, and 1 of which was a cause-based post. So a bit of a mixture. We know that brain teasers do well, but in general, I think what we're looking at here is video, video, video all the way. So again, we thought that era was over. It's not. You will need to start looking at videos for your business and creating videos with some sort of emotional hook. It doesn't always have to be that deep. You don't need to be one of the top 20 posts, but if you can make people feel something, they're more likely to engage with it. So I think that's a no news story really, because we all knew that. But again, I can see my comments are hopping. I can see we've got Bernie here. I haven't seen Bernie in ages. Great to have you here, Bernie. Elon is considering a way to charge for Twitter API access, which is a real winning strategy with Filter API. Now that is interesting. I know that won't go down well with a lot of the social media scheduling companies, but that's interesting. Ian says he mutes WhatsApp threads. You know, I will join those threads when I'm at an event. I think it's always useful way to stick with people. But yes, I'd be the same. I don't like being added to those threads. My computer is talking to me and I don't know why. Are we in danger of engagement for engagement's sake? And I think that's the lesson from this. Just because I'm saying, right, you have to have this is going to be the most popular content you put on Facebook. You know, don't just do it unless it's part of your marketing strategy. So I've always said this, I could go onto my Facebook page and put up pictures of cats with cute comments, right? And they probably do incredibly well. But that's not doing anything for my business. So if you're going to use these strategies, you need to find a way to make them part of what you're trying to promote already and look at that. So yes, if it's engagement, it's like followers. Anything can be a vanity metric if you haven't got a goal in mind, if you haven't thought about your strategy behind it. So absolutely, you're right there, Ian. There's Hannah with a purple heart replying to someone, I imagine. So there we go. Ian is saying Twitter. Oh, you and Bernie need to have a chat. Twitter already charges for the Twitter Firehouse API. So a lot of big social media tool companies already have to pay quite a bit for Twitter API access. That is interesting. You and Bernie need to have a chat, and you're both on different networks. So if you don't know each other, you should connect with each other. And good morning to Deirdre, who's just joined us from YouTube. I do have lots more stories. So who am I going to press next? Let's have Sam.
You're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Are your audience on TikTok? Do they use TikTok? And if they're on TikTok, what do they do? Now, a lot of you are going, I don't know, or isn't TikTok just for young people? I don't think my audience are there, or I don't know if my audience are there. What are they doing? Well, of course, because we don't have the data, or you need to go and get the data. But TikTok are showing us the data. TikTok have launched a new tool, and I have to look at what it's called because it's not called what I want to call it, called Market Insights. And what this is basically you can go in here and you can analyze a broad target market for yourself to see, do they use TikTok? And if they are, what is their behavior like there? And once you know that information, it's a lot easier to weave that in to your digital marketing strategy. So you can filter it by lots of things. You can filter it by country. There aren't a lot of countries there at the moment. Ireland isn't there. The United Kingdom is there. Of course, the United Kingdom is there, but Ireland isn't there. So I had to filter by United Kingdom, by generation. So again, I did this. I filtered by Generation X. That is my generation, but you can obviously get your millennials and your Generation Z in there as well. And I'm not sure if it has boomers in there. It also has holidays and events, which is obviously American words. So when they say holidays, they mean things like Christmas and Easter. They don't mean, going to Spain for a week. And you can also, there's one more thing, insights is what they call it. So you can filter all this to see what that audience is doing on TikTok. So I went for United Kingdom because they didn't have Ireland, and I went for Generation X because Generation X or above generally would be where my customers fall. And really interestingly, this generation on TikTok are more likely to make videos about products they've received. They are more likely to make videos about products they purchased, and they are more likely to have conversations with the brands that they purchase those products from, or they're interested in those products from, both privately via direct message and publicly on Instagram, on TikTok. So I found this really fascinating. I mean, for a while now, I've been toying with the idea of using TikTok more. When I say more, I mean at all for my business, because I know it's going to be such a time suck. This can help me make that decision. And also it can tell me how I can engage my ideal customers there. I think this is fantastic from TikTok. Really happy. I can see we've got Marion here. There we go. Hi, Marion. Great to see you here. Katie is persuading me to put cats. Cats are my, how do I involve cats in my content strategy? Maybe I can find a way to do that and get extra engagement. What is good engagement rate for a tweet with an image compared with a tweet with a video? I do not know the answer to that question. It's a really good question. I'd have to look at, you see, I don't think there is a good engagement rate. I think you always have to benchmark against yourself, or at least against your industry, because when you are measuring engagement rate, you're measuring yourself against influencers or, people with massive audiences. So I think you need to compare like with like. So I always like to go and look at my own engagement rates and see if I can improve those over time. So not the answer you were looking for, Bernie, but an answer at the same time. No baby boomers in the audience list there. There you go. Perhaps no surprise. Well, then I was reading an article about how older people, so we are talking boomers here or above, were really popular on TikTok. It is a whole thing that is taken off right now, which is really weird. I assume that is just for TikTok business accounts. So anyone can access this tool. Anyone can access it, and when you go in there you can just filter down as much as you want. I guess it's a tool there to kind of persuade businesses that maybe their audience are there. Are people still concerned about TikTok being linked to the Chinese government, or is that story gone away? Some people are. I don't know. I'm not concerned about it, but maybe I should be. So there is another really big question that probably needs to be answered. I do think when the former president was not re-elected, I think a lot of the trouble for TikTok around that did go away, but I don't think it's completely gone away, because obviously it's a concern beyond politics of the specific country.
Hey, it's Andy at Content Cal here, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Instagram Reels, the problem with Instagram Reels, and probably the good thing about Instagram Reels, is that you're reaching a new audience. You've just got that tab where people can go in and they can look at all the stuff coming in, and mostly that stuff isn't from the people you're following. It's trending content. It's content that Instagram knows that you're going to like, which is why when I go in there, it's full of cats, and that makes me happy, and that's why it's so addictive too. I love watching those little cat videos. This is great for growing your audience, because if you have a successful reel, there's a good chance that there'll be a knock-on effect that you will get more followers because it's appeared there. But it does mean that your existing followers aren't really seeing so many of your reels, not your existing content. So a new thing that they're testing on Instagram is the following tab. So this is much like what we see on TikTok. You will be able to flitter between the main tab and the follower tab. And in the follower tab, you're going to see content from the people that you are following. This is good, I think, because you spend all that time creating the reels and the only people you're reaching are really strangers. Now you should be able to reach a larger portion of your followers with this. So I think this is a good idea. It'll be interesting to see how many people use it, because I know on TikTok I rarely go to my follower feed because I keep going, well, they're not making interesting content. The trending content is the interesting content. But I do think it could help you reach your existing audience. In an Instagram only world, or an Instagram video only world, this is going to become more important. We've got Bernie coming in with a comment there. We called Twitter €1 per click last week. Clicks went into booking form. You got 600 quid of bookings on 30 spend for a sponsored post. Now that's interesting. So for ads, that is really interesting, because I know it really can depend on the industry. I've heard that, for example, Twitter ads work exceptionally well for the farming industry and they can work less well from others. So what was the product, Bernie, that you are sending them to? Was it a course, or was it something else? I'd love to know more about that. And you are a baby boomer. You are the token baby boomer, unless anyone else wants to admit to being a baby boomer behind their profile pictures. I think you might be, Bernie, the only one here. So thanks for representing. It's great to have you here.
Hi, I'm Kyra Fingleton from Glamping Under the Stars, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
LinkedIn reactions are seriously limited, aren't they? You know, I'll be looking at posts on LinkedIn and I think, you know, Facebook has really trained us to use reactions, and I'll go and I want to react in some way. I don't like to just click the like button. I want to put a little bit more thought into it. So I'll have a look and there'll be the clappy one and there'll be like the thought-provoking one and there'll be the light bulb one. And I kind of, in the end, I often just revert to either the clap or the heart or the like button. And there is definitely something missing there. There is something missing for humor. Now, you might go, Amanda, this is LinkedIn. There is no such thing as humor on LinkedIn, but that is. And there are things that make me smile. So I would want to maybe choose that reaction. Now, I know commenting is better on LinkedIn. I know I do that as well. But sometimes you just want to acknowledge you've seen something and react in a pertinent way. So thank you. LinkedIn are working on a humor button, or what is it? It's called funny, a funny reaction. This is what it's going to look like. It is blue because humor is obviously, I am at a loss for their choice of color here, but it is good to see that they're working on it. But more than that, I think the fact that they are working on this tells us something about how LinkedIn sees itself. It is no longer the bland, boring network that it used to be. And I know a lot of LinkedIn users are upset that that's not the way it is anymore. It is a place where, I mean, when we're talking to people business to business, we don't sit there with dour faces and not include any humor or banter. So I think this is almost a signal from LinkedIn that it's okay. It's okay to find something funny. It's all right to be a little bit humorous. It's all right to have banter. And in my opinion, that makes LinkedIn a better place to be. I can see we've got a comment there. Katie is saying she doesn't know what a baby boomer or generation ... Generation X. Well, I'm Generation X. So, you know, obviously young and excited is Generation X. Maybe I'll let Bernie describe what baby boomers are. I remember baby boomers from when Trivial Pursuit was a thing. You could get a baby boomer edition of Trivial Pursuit. I hope that doesn't mean it's blue humour. Yes, it is such an odd choice, isn't it? Why on earth, LinkedIn, would you choose that particular one? You can tell I'm looking for buttons to press, can't you? Here's my button I'm going to press.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lawrence and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
The best content, like, don't hate me, right? But the best content isn't just put out there. It is, you know, drafted and thought about and edited and edited and edited and edited and edited. Did I mention edited? And then posted. On social media, that happens a lot less than it should, to be honest, doesn't it? But one of the functions that I think can help with this is if you have like a big brain dump that you want to put out there, you can put it into a post and you can save it as a draft. Or at least you can on Facebook and you can on Instagram and you can on Twitter. But until now, you haven't been able to do that on LinkedIn. And is that why we see so many rambling, badly written posts, I wonder? Not that any of the people I follow would have any such thing, but maybe because you have to do it in the moment or because you haven't planned it, that editing piece has gone. Well, LinkedIn are working on letting you save your posts as drafts, which I am so excited about. Now, we talked about APIs earlier on. So the API is the piece that would connect, say, your scheduling tool to the platform. And LinkedIn doesn't have an API. It doesn't have an open API that you can tap into, which means your scheduling on LinkedIn or your drafting on LinkedIn is very limited. So, for example, I can't schedule a post from a third-party tool that will schedule a video to my personal profile, which means I have to schedule them all to my company profile and reshare them, which, to be honest, doesn't work well at all. So having something like this where you could draft a post would be brilliant for that, even without the scheduling, because every Wednesday I publish a video to my LinkedIn profile and I have to like set a timer to go and do it at the right time and remember to go and publish it. This way I could upload it in advance and then just click the publish button when I want it to go live. But I do think that's not it here. That isn't all, because I think this is going to be a prelude to inbuilt scheduling on LinkedIn, which is something I would really like to see happen. You know, we can use all our scheduling tools, but sometimes it's just handier if we can do it on platform, particularly for smaller businesses. So that excites me. I can see, well, Bernie, you're the only boomer here. You've just called yourself an OAP. Right, so for an explanation, completely off topic, an explanation of all the generations. Thank you so much for doing this, Ian. Really appreciate it. Baby boomers were born 1946 to 1964. Generation X, 1965 to 1979. Millennials, 1980 to 1996. Gen Z, 1997 to 2012. And Gen Alpha, 2012 onwards. We're going to have to start talking about them soon, aren't we? Thanks for that explanation, Ian. That was really helpful. Don't forget at 10:30, right? Set an alarm now, 10:30 a.m. I just need to go and do a bit of repurposing before we go there. On Twitter, we have a follow-up to this show. Myself and May King Sang, who is amazing. We co-host the Digital Coffee Extra Shot. If you go over to my Twitter, which is @Spiderworking, it is pinned to the top of my Twitter feed. So come and join us. If you join on mobile, you can come and have your say. So Bernie, Ian, Kate, I would love to have the three of you coming in. Sorry, Katie, I would love you coming in and let's have a chat about all the different generations. So do come and see us then. If you can't make that, I will be back here, same bat time, same bat place next week. And until then, bye-bye.